Good morning, my name is Bryce Cochran.
I'm Brady Johnson.
I'm Adriana Barbera.
And I'm Diana Cortez. Our team's focus was how would lowering the voting age to 17 impact voter participation in national elections. Our claim was that lowering the voting age to 17 would increase voter participation and overall have major changes and controversies socially, politically, historically, and futuristically. Regarding the social claim, I said that lowering the voting age to 17 would increase voter participation because it would have a grand effect on the overall younger population. We are growing up in a generation where kids lack the skills to being independent and they lack maturity. Giving them a responsibility this big at an even earlier age can influence them to gain the abilities that they lack and overall increase voter participations. In national columnist Heather Wilhelm's article, she included a poll by the Times in which 74% of parents with kids aged 18 to 28 still make doctor appointments for their kids, and 72% still remind them of deadlines such as schoolwork. This goes firsthand to show the independence that they overall lack. Most 17-year-olds are still in their senior year of high school, meaning that schools would have even bigger influence on the voting turnouts, and they wanting to educate their younger students, they would influence them and persuade these students to be a part of the country's decision and overall increase the voting turnouts for not only their age group, but create a habit that could be long-lasting and increase their voting turnouts overall in the future.
If the voting age is lowered to increase voter participation, the new demographics will cause a change in American laws and in American culture. In order for future generations to be successful, they'll need to be able to educate themselves at a younger age, as well as adapt at a younger age. National Review outline columnist Heather Wilhelm argues that the younger generations have different culture, a culture that is less responsible and more irrational. She uses polls to explain that parents with children of ages 18 to 28 still do things for them, such as waking up in the morning. This shows that the younger American culture is less responsible for themselves. This will affect the way they vote. This graph shows voting turnout based on age. In the past 6 years, voters from ages 18 to 29 make up about 30% of voting turnout. If the voting age is lowered to 17, this will only increase. This large chunk of voting turnout will affect future elections.
From a political standpoint, the lowering of the voting age would have a huge effect on our current legislators. This is because these are the people that are responsible for creating and implementing new laws when it's decided that a change in society must be made. They have the responsibility of keeping the Constitution up to date and also making sure that the laws are written appropriately so that the rights of all voters are kept secure. Article 5 of the Constitution describes the process of creating these new laws, and also it's what delegates the power to the legislative branch. The legislators would have the big responsibility of making sure that the laws are written appropriately and effectively.
In terms of affecting the historical lens, you have to think back to our country's history, so everything that's happened since day one in the United States. So our Constitution's only been amended 27 times over the course of 200 years. So lowering the voting age to 17 in order to increase voter participation in the United States would cause our U.S. Constitution to be significantly revised. To address this issue, we'd have to call for a constitutional revision, which is similar to a constitutional convention that's been held by our countries like founding fathers, things like that. It's happened in the 1700s all the way up to the 1900s, and we'd have to call for it again. Multiple parts of the U.S. Constitution would need to be edited. Article 5 as well as Amendment 26 would both see revision due to the lowering of voting age to 17. So the 26th Amendment states, the rights of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of older, they shall not be denied the right to vote on any account of age or race or ethnicity or anything like that. So clearly, if the voting age were lowered to 17 in order to increase voter participation, the 26th Amendment would have to be modified to change the age restriction, obviously. So you would have to go from 18 to 17. And because of Article 5, like Adriana said, both houses, 2/3 of both houses would need to deem it necessary in order to call for this amendment revision. So this would spark controversy among all the government legislators, and historians would be all over that. So our Constitution serves as a big stakeholder in this topic because it's the supreme law of our land, and it serves as like the guiding document for our lives as Americans. If this was changed, we would have to see a big argument between the houses and the federal government in order to deem whether or not this is necessary to make this change happen.
To conclude, the solutions that we came up with for these issues are that a constitutional convention must be held to create the new laws and regulations to make sure that the new voting practices are properly regulated. Also, for these social and futuristic lenses, we will have to appeal to the new younger voting population to increase the voter turnout. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I've got a question for each of you. Bryce, we're going to start with you.
Yes, sir.
Describe an argument from one of your peers' individual reports that makes you think differently about your own solution. About your team's solution.
Sorry, repeat the question?
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, you're good.
Describe an argument from one of your peers' reports
Yeah.
that made you think differently about the team's solution or conclusion.
So the way I broke it up was kind of between political and historical, and then social and futuristic. I thought those were kind of like two subclaims that came together, and I thought for D'Annalise's social and Brady's futuristic, that when you look at how all the younger voters would be, we had to come up with a solution that would fix it, because you can't just hold a convention and not do anything about it. So we figured when creating a solution as a team, we'd have to split it up to where we'd be able to appeal to all the younger voters. So we had to account for everyone's line of reasoning in order to develop a big team solution.
All right, thank you. All right, Brady, you're up next. In the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve your team's presentation?
So we would definitely have to meet in person because we didn't do that. Yeah, so in order to clean up any sloppiness in the presentation and just to get everybody on the same page, definitely.
Okay. Adriana? Oh, I guess we are, anyways. Adriana, in what ways did you improve your ability to work with a group because of this?
I think I learned that I don't just have to pay attention to my own part of the project. I also have to look at other people's parts to make sure that I understand the whole project and our claim as a whole and work together.
All right, and save the best for last. Danny, what's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to not use in the presentation?
Originally, Bryce had chosen the economic lens, and we decided that it would be better to do politically because of the fact that the historical and political lens, like Bryce has said, they're subclaims. They come together to create an even stronger claim, and we just thought it would be an overall better argument.
You're done, breathe.